At exactly 7:41 on a cold Monday morning, an old freight truck rolled into Riverside Performance Garage. The driver climbed down, tossed a faded delivery receipt onto the workbench, and muttered, "CO Evelyn Cross said these are nothing but scrap. Sign here and haul them away." Without another word, he unlocked the trailer. Inside were 6 dusty V8 engine blocks, scratched, dented, and forgotten like relics no one wanted. Every mechanic in the shop stared, but Ethan Cole walked straight to the third engine. The moment he wiped away the dirt covering its serial number, his fingers froze. He knew that number. Years earlier, he had personally designed and assembled that very engine before being forced out of the company he helped build. A faint smile crossed his face, not because he was happy, but because he realized something. The woman who had thrown these engines away had no idea what she had just handed him. And within a few weeks, she would discover the truth in the most unforgettable way. The truck disappeared down the highway, but Ethan didn't move. One by one, he brushed the dust off each engine and checked their serial numbers. Every single one belonged to the legendary VX9 Heritage program, the project he had poured years of his life into before walking away under painful circumstances. Instead of treating them like scrap, he locked the workshop doors and covered the engines with clean tarps. The very next morning, a sleek black SUV stopped outside the garage. Evelyn Cross, the company's young CEO, stepped inside carrying a folder. "I need one more legal signature," she said confidently. "Same agreement as yesterday." Ethan silently read every line before signing. She expected questions, maybe even complaints. Instead, he calmly handed the papers back. As she turned to leave, she glanced around the modest workshop and smirked. "Cute little place," she said. "Hard to believe anyone still runs a business like this." Ethan didn't react. After the SUV disappeared, he looked toward engine number 3 and quietly whispered, "Let's see how long it takes before they realize what they've thrown away." That evening, after the shop had gone quiet, Ethan unlocked an old steel cabinet hidden in the corner of his office. Inside lay a worn leather folder filled with original blueprints, handwritten notes, and performance calculations from the VX9 program. Every page carried his signature. His 10-year-old daughter, Lily, looked up from her homework. "Dad, are those the engines you always talk about?" Ethan nodded with a faint smile. "Yes. And this time, I'm going to finish what I started." After Lily went to bed, he picked up his phone and called the one person he trusted more than anyone. "Mike, I need your help. Come to the garage first thing tomorrow. You have to see this with your own eyes." By sunrise, Mike walked into the workshop. The moment he recognized engine number 3, he stopped in his tracks. "I can't believe they threw these away," he whispered. Ethan handed him the disposal contract. Mike read it once, then looked up in disbelief. "They think these engines are worthless." Ethan closed the folder and smiled. "No, they just forgot who built them." The two men got to work before sunrise. Day after day, Ethan and Mike spent nearly 14 hours inside the garage, carefully taking each engine apart. Rusted bolts were replaced, damaged sleeves were machined again, and every component was measured with precision. These weren't ordinary engines. They were masterpieces that deserved another chance. 3 days later, Ethan received another call from Evelyn's office. "This time," her assistant said, "Miss Cross would like to meet at a downtown cafe to finish the paperwork." At exactly 10 a.m., Ethan walked into the crowded cafe, wearing the same work boots and oil-stained flannel shirt he'd been repairing engines in all morning. Evelyn noticed him immediately. With her lawyer seated beside her, she smiled sarcastically and said loudly enough for nearby customers to hear. "You could have at least worn something cleaner for a business meeting." A few people glanced toward Ethan, expecting an awkward reaction. Instead, he calmly sat down, read every page without rushing, and signed the documents. Before standing up, he looked directly at Evelyn and quietly said, "Are you absolutely sure you don't want engine number 3 back?" For the first time, her confident smile disappeared. That single question echoed in Evelyn's mind all the way back to headquarters. How did he know about engine number 3? She had never mentioned the serial numbers. The inventory had been handled entirely by the operations director, and she had signed the disposal papers without looking twice. Curious, she spent the evening reviewing old company files. Hidden inside an archive project folder, she found a faded photograph of her late father standing proudly beside a lead engineer. The man's face was partly hidden beneath a safety helmet, but one detail stood out: a thin scar across his right hand. The next afternoon, Evelyn drove back to Ethan's workshop without informing anyone. She expected to see a mechanic. Instead, she found Ethan and Mike carefully rebuilding one of the discarded engines with incredible precision. Every movement was confident, every measurement exact. "What are you really doing?" she finally asked. Ethan didn't stop working. "I'm giving something valuable the second chance it deserved." Before she could ask another question, Lily walked into the garage carrying 3 mugs of hot chocolate. She handed one to Evelyn with a warm smile. "Dad says people understand each other better when they stop arguing." For the first time in years, Evelyn didn't know what to say. The following morning, Evelyn unlocked a storage room that hadn't been opened since her father's passing. Inside were old engineering reports, confidential letters, and project records covered in dust. One document immediately caught her attention. It clearly stated that no VX9 Heritage engine could ever be destroyed or transferred without written approval from its original chief engineer. She frowned. Original chief engineer? Who was he? The answer wasn't in the file. Unable to ignore the growing mystery, Evelyn returned to the workshop that evening. This time, she didn't interrupt anyone. She simply stood in silence, watching Ethan tune engine number 3 with the confidence of someone who knew every bolt by memory. Finally, she asked softly, "Were you involved in this project from the beginning?" Ethan paused for a moment before answering. "I was there long before most people even knew the project existed." Before she could ask another question, Mike quietly added, "Some people don't lose their place because they fail. They lose it because someone else wanted the credit." Evelyn felt a chill run through her. For the first time, she wondered if the stories she'd been told about Ethan had never been the truth at all. The mystery ended a few days later. While searching through her father's private safe, Evelyn discovered a sealed envelope and a small flash drive labeled, "Open only if I'm no longer here." Inside was a handwritten letter. Her father revealed that Ethan had never betrayed the company. He had been the brilliant engineer who created the VX9 program, but a senior executive had manipulated company records, blocked his compensation, and forced him out while secretly profiting from valuable prototype parts. The flash drive contained years of financial records, fake disposal contracts, and hidden payments linked to the same executive. Evelyn sat in stunned silence. She had trusted the wrong people, and publicly humiliated the one man her father had respected most. That evening, she drove straight to Ethan's workshop carrying the box. "I owe you the truth," she admitted. Ethan quietly read the letter, then closed it without a word. "I never wanted revenge," he said calmly. "I only wanted the engines and the truth to survive." For the first time, Evelyn realized the greatest mistake she had made wasn't throwing away 6 priceless engines. It was failing to recognize the man who had built them. Within days, Evelyn called an emergency board meeting. In front of every director, she presented the evidence from her father's letter and the hidden financial records. The executive responsible for the fraud was immediately suspended, and a full investigation began. Then she stood before everyone and made one final announcement. "Today, we correct a mistake that should never have happened." She officially reinstated Ethan Cole as the company's chief powertrain engineer and announced the return of the VX9 Heritage program. A month later, all 6 restored engines completed their final performance tests. They produced even better results than the original specifications. Collectors from around the world offered millions to buy them, but Ethan refused to claim a single dollar for himself. "They belong to the company my mentor built," he said. "I only brought them back to life." After the meeting, Evelyn quietly approached him. "I judged you before I knew who you really were." Ethan smiled. "The truth doesn't disappear. It just waits for the right moment." Months later, the revived VX9 engine won its first championship race, while Ethan watched proudly beside his daughter, Lily. The engines had been saved. The company had been saved. And in the end, respect proved far more valuable than revenge.